welcome to another episode of Krisullis for the Creative. In this episode, me and Linda goes through all the benefits of being a content creator on Web3. We also talk a bunch about how to have those crucial conversations, a word Linda absolutely loves. Also, of course, who is Linda, her journey, and all the good tips she has learned on her way.
Welcome back to, I was about to say the two perspectives and give my normal intro, but it's not quite the two perspectives. Kind of is. Kind of is. I guess we might have to post this episode there as well, kind of as a promotional piece. But this is Krisullis for the Creative. The reason why I say the two perspectives is because today I have my old podcast partner. Uh, Yes, not old podcast, but I mean just a podcast that's been put on hold partner, Linda. So I know you very well, Linda, but not the two perspectives. So the audience doesn't know you very well. Why don't you just quickly tell us who is Linda?
Absolutely. So, who is Linda? Well, first of all, I'm a beacon and guide. So, I am very much into the empowerment of people, hands down. I live and breathe it. But aside from that, I'm also a creative. And so, I'm really excited to be able to create an experience of everyone coming into Chrysalis because I understand one thing. It's one thing to offer an experience, it's another thing to have it be felt. And so for me, that's really important that people know that they can come in and be supported. They can come in and ask any question. And when we say that, we really mean it. There's no silly, stupid question, only the one that you withhold from asking, right? So that's really important. And, we're all going through this together. So I want everyone to feel like they belong. And so how do you make people feel belong? Well, you're present in the moment. You ask questions of curiosity. And you really go about it to create an opportunity for someone to leave you better than they were when they first came into the conversation. And so that's who Linda is. She's that person that creates that space, that environment.
And that's a very different Linda than the Linda I met. Uh, how many? I can't even remember how many yet. Like 5 years. Is that sounds like for 5 years sounds pretty accurate. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that journey you've been on in the recent couple of years?
Yes. So that journey that I embarked on happened because of an experience that I went through that began with a coach. And so you and I know that I always like to say coach, 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 or creative conversation, communication.
Crucial conversation. That's the only thing that I remember you say a whole of a lot.
And so the reason why that's so important to me is because people come into our lives to teach us a lesson, to take us on an exploration. And so that's really what has happened. I've done some really creative things that, I wouldn't have done probably if they weren't brought to the surface or highlighted for me. There's no way I would have done them. I would have just went on with my life doing the normal things that I do. But because of these experiences, I stepped into a space where I got to explore something. And in that process, I found that I loved it. And so podcasting became this way that I could connect with people on a powerful level, both in the creative way where the person comes in and can express themselves, but also in a way that they feel connected. And by doing that type of work, it really takes my coaching to a whole nother level because it's just one other modality that I wouldn't normally have had I not had a coach tell me that I had the voice that reminded him of an online relationship coach. And so by planting that seed, for me going into that place, oh yeah, we've talked about this before. And so
it doesn't ring any bells. I was like, I think I was as surprised as it was the last time you said. I was like, might not be the comparison I made, but of course I never heard that online relationship. What's a relationship coach?
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I've been a relationship coach from the time I was 12. I was that person that
And
people,
we all been a relationship coach in some sort of way.
people would ask me certain things like my friend's not talking to me, what's going on, or some other girl stole someone else's boyfriend, all these different things that you are trivial when you're like 12, 13 years old, you're just stepping into who you are. I just would listen and I would give my 2 cents, and people felt comfortable coming to me for that. And it hasn't changed. If anything, I would say who I am has only expanded from that. And if I wasn't out there, like stepping out there and finding myself through that process, I learn and grow, I evolve. And so that's why Krisullis is so exciting to me, because here we are building a community of belonging. We are encouraging, inspiring, and empowering people to create content. And what our hope is that they can take that to the next level where they are getting paid to do what they love, right? And a lot of the people that come in as creators also get to do that coaching and mentoring and guiding and teaching other people their craft. That is also on the table as well. So not each creator that comes in is going to want to go on that journey because it's going to be specific to their journey. However, I think it's going to foster that, because really our Krisullis community has a lot to do with reciprocity, the giving and receiving in an exchange where we all evolve.
Yeah, that word I couldn't remember when you interviewed me. I was so annoyed at you when I was sitting there editing it. I was like, why didn't you just give me the goddamn word? I was struggling for 5 minutes straight. That was not very kind, Linda. That was kind of cruel in some sort of way. And I bet you enjoyed it.
Which word was that?
Well, reciprocity. I was like,
Oh,
when you give and receive, I remembered because I've edited the episode. I was listening back to it. And I was like, and then 5 minutes later, you mentioned the word. I was like, yeah, there was. Well, thank you very much. It was a little bit late now, but still, thank you. Now I remembered reciprocity, the joy of giving and also receiving.
yes, it's actually a
About that.
core belief and value of mine that should happen in all relationships for them to be healthy. Because if it's unbalanced, then we're not in a healthy area. And so, being able to do that and to really want that for yourself and the other person, that's most powerful.
So what would you say, now that you mentioned a powerful relationship? I think that's how you said it. How do you get a relationship to that level in your eyes,
Yes.
in your perspective?
Yes, it's taken years to, I guess, build. But what I realized is that all of these relationships start with who you are. So you know who you are, what your values are, what's important to you. And when you can answer those questions about who you are, what you value, and why it's important to you, and you can decide what things come into your life, what things flow out of your life, what things you're willing or not willing to tolerate, the moment you can communicate those to people that you interact with, and you allow them to know more about you in that way, and then you invite them and encourage them to share the same, then everybody is on the same page about what is wanted and desired in this relationship. Because what I have found too often, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this one, I think you're going to agree with this perspective, but when we don't communicate what it is that we want and need from another person, and we don't have them do the same thing with us, then there's a lot of assumptions that happen, a lot of stories that get told. And what can happen is resentment can build, let's say, when things aren't going so well. So I see it as a way to set some boundaries and foundation for having a good relationship, one that each person is excited and happy to be in. And so instead of two people thinking they need each other, they want to be in relationship because they benefit mutually in a way that feels good to them. And so that's why I'm talking about reciprocity and building relationships by sharing those things. It's most powerful. And when you practice this on an everyday basis, when you learn how to do it, it becomes a situation where you're no longer going to put yourself, or at least stay in relationships that aren't serving you anymore. And I hear a lot
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
people. This comes up quite a bit, but a lot of people, they want to feel like they belong. They want to be acknowledged. They want validation. But when you're looking for all that outside of yourself, that's when things start to go south. And so by learning how to put yourself first, communicate effectively what you want, everyone comes out in a much better place.
It's weird how people don't like, or people, us as people, have to learn to put ourselves first. Like our own goals, our own visions, our own wants before we think about, well, how it's going to affect the people around me. You know, it's all about how it's going to affect you. Because it's your life, it's your decisions. You are going to have to live with the success or the failure, whatever it ends up being, or whatever you're gonna carry with you from that. The good stories, the emotions, maybe some of the things you wish you didn't do. I think we all have a nice mix of everything. Uh, for me, one of the most important things when it comes to those things that we really, really do want is, if you have like a dream as a kid and it's still something that you want to do, you need to keep focusing on it, because if you keep the focus on it, in some sort of way, life is going to bring that opportunity to you. And it might not look like that opportunity at first glance. For example, now I'm speaking with myself of Krisullis and some other things I don't want to get too much into, because this is Linda's podcast, it's not mine. But actually keep having that dream, that vision of doing it. If you keep your mind focusing on that, you're automatically going to find a way to that at some point, depending on what it is, how long it's going to take. And another good thing that you can do to reach those goals, and correct me if I'm using your word wrong here, but you can have those crucial conversations, the word that I think you love about any other word. It's the best word into you. And then while you're sitting there smiling, so I'm just going to let you take it from here.
And so the reason why I'm laughing so much here is because Mess and I really have gotten into that space where having that conversation and feeling like you can do it is so much better than withholding that conversation that needs to be had. So many people do that. And so that's why it's so pivotal. Conversations drive relationship, hands down. So failure to have the conversation, train wreck. Have the conversation, an opportunity to maybe move out of that miscommunication, those assumptions that are being made by the other person. And so silence, I think, leads to violence. And they teach you that in communication. It really does. And they don't mean physical violence. They just mean that you're not going to a place that's constructive. So the moment you open up and get vulnerable and have a conversation, no matter how hard it is, you can literally talk to anyone about anything. And once you have that conversation, that weight is lifted and you feel lighter and freer and empowered to do something. But so many people are scared to have that conversation. You and I talked about this, because sometimes, when you have that conversation, it might mean something's going to fall away. And you know what? You can't let fear get in the way of not having a conversation. If something falls away because you brought it up and you've expressed what you wanted or needed or set those boundaries and it falls away, you know what? That's a gift. That's not a loss. That's a gift. That's giving you and that other person an opportunity to go separate ways and go do your own thing. And that opens up the door for people to flow into your life that add to what it is that you stand for, that add to that mutual bonding and belonging. And so why would you want to take the other road where you don't talk about what you need and what you want and things that are bothering you and stay in that? That's not healthy. That's toxic. And so that's why I will smile greatly when we talk about crucial conversation, because it's one of the most powerful tools that you can use to get what you want. And it allows you to also have something in place where you're empowered to do something, right? Because doesn't it feel good when you know that your voice matters and that you can communicate it, and no matter what happens, you can take that and just go with it? That is like one of the life skills that they don't teach you in school. They might teach you a little bit about it in business, because communications are essential in everything you're working on: project management, change management, leading and guiding teams powerfully. It's present in there. And it also is true in any interpersonal relationship. We just got on earlier and we were talking about how we hadn't talked to each other like for 2 weeks. And I said, I'm doing me, you're doing you. And we just connect and get right back on where we left off. And that's because we are effective communicators. We can discuss when maybe we're not feeling as connected. We can discuss when we want to do more things together as a team. We can talk about putting things on pause when we need to do that too. And we can do that because we communicate.
Yes, exactly. Even I remember in the start, if I didn't message you back for a couple of days, you're like, "Oh, where's he gone? Where's he gone?" I was like, relaxing, chill. I'm just taking a couple of days, enjoying life, turning off, recharging that energy, turning on for the charger. And that's like that one thing that I'm not very good at communicating when I want to take a break, because I just go on break, and people have to learn what mass on break means. It just means that from 1 minute to another, I will just stop responding. Like I fell asleep. I might have just fallen asleep. Definitely have happened before. You know the feeling when you're, oh, I just have to finish this conversation, and then the other person takes a little bit too long to respond, and it's just like gone. Um,
I'm
you can
laughing
relate
here.
to that.
I'm laughing here. You know why? Because you just visually illustrated a point where sometimes we're in conversation and it can drop off, or we can take a break or pause, and the other person can go into, oh my gosh, what happened? Where are they? What are they doing? And so, and so because we communicate our preferences, because we communicate how it is that we like respond and how we operate, I know when you drop off and don't say that you fell asleep for the night, then that's what's going on. The same thing when I don't maybe talk to you for a few weeks. It's not a big deal, because I know that you're off doing stuff, and it's not like we don't know how to find each other. And so it's not, we're two separate people doing our lives. And when you are not connected so tightly with somebody, that's a good thing, because it just means that you're in this healthy space of living, and how you attach and form relationships, that it's how it should be. But there's so many people out there that that's not what happens. And so they take things personal. They think that someone forgot about them, and they have I guess a way that they present themselves in relationships that actually sometimes push people away. And so
Yeah, I think it's people that worry about other people instead of worrying about them. Kind of what we talked about earlier about, you need to do you first, do the things for you. If you want to go out to another country, Africa, Australia, Brazil, to work, and you have a girlfriend, and you can't go, you can't leave me. It's your life. If you really want to go, you should go. If you two are meant to be together, you're going to be apart for a couple of years. One of you can't take it anymore, and you're going to be together again. If not, you're both going to think about each other for a couple of years, and then find a new partner and just have fun memories of each other from time to time. It's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of experiences to experience. I think that's nice. That's what I really like about this whole Web3 thing. Is it's very new to me. It's very interesting. There's so many different avenues and things that I don't know.
yes, that's exciting.
It's only like 1 out of every 10 questions I can give like a half educated answer on, and like 1 out of 100 I can give an educated answer on. Just it's exciting to be in a field that's so fast evolving, but also that I know so little about in some sort of way. But it's like it's intriguing, interesting to learn. I don't know how about you. How are you finding this whole new internet?
So you hit upon something there. So it is very new, the space that we're entering and navigating on. There's uncertainty. I don't know the whole pathway, but what is really awesome and amazing is that we're in a community of people where a lot of us are in that same space. And the people that are further along than us, they have been so helpful in guiding the way. And so if I get stuck on any one thing, I can reach out to a member of our community and they'll say, hey, I'll help you out with that. Do this, this, and this. And let me know if you still don't have it. And I had that happen 2 times yesterday. I was doing some, I guess we want to call it, setting up of cryptocurrency, doing some transfers, buying some tokens. And so it's a foreign language to me, to say the least. And I'm very much into technology, processes, people, in the work that I do. And so it was a little bit daunting that I couldn't just fly through and do it seamlessly, no matter how many different videos and screenshots I was looking at. I was still having a little bit of an issue. But you know what? At the end of the day, I said, okay, I can get this. It may not be easy and it's new. I'll reach out to someone that I know has some background in this, and they just talked me through it. It was no big deal. So that's what Krisullis is. No one person is an expert at everything. But if you take us as a collective community, chances are if you reach out on the Discord server and you say, hey, who can help me do this? Chances are you're going to have 10 people tell you that they can help you. And so the converse is true. If you see somebody out there that could use some support, or they want to bounce an idea, you can definitely do that as well. And that is the excitement piece you're talking about. Going through a place where you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but what you do know is that you are going to learn. You're going to learn lessons. You're going to get more knowledge. You're going to get that experience. And where I started earlier, when you asked me, who is Linda, and how is she on the journey that she's on? And I said it's because I was able to step into spaces where it wasn't certain. I didn't know if I was going to like or dislike something I tried, but in that process, in that discovery, I found out that I love podcasting. Could you imagine if I hadn't have done that because somebody invoked the idea? We would have no 2 perspectives. We wouldn't know each other. We wouldn't be going on this Krisullis creator journey, right? And so think about all the really cool things happen. It's the butterfly effect.
You and Caroline do love your butterflies, don't you?
Yes, that is a reason why it's one of our logos, and it's twofold, isn't it?
I just see in the group chat there's butterflies fucking everywhere. Never seen so many butterflies in my life.
So let me quickly share why the butterfly is a theme. Because when a caterpillar okay, when a butterfly starts as a caterpillar in a chrysalis, and inside it's growing, it's developing, and guess what? In order for it to emerge, it has to forcefully break out. and if it was easy, it would die. It has to forcefully break out to get their wings spanned so they can fly off. Okay, so that's the first piece. The second piece that I was referring to, the butterfly effect, one act triggers another act that triggers another act. And so each thing is spawned by energy of something else going on. And so the butterfly effect means that because that coach planted that seed that I should try podcasting, you and I met on LinkedIn and you sent a video to me. We talked about how we could do podcasting. 2 Perspectives was born. Through 2 Perspectives, we met other people that are part of the Krisullis community. when the Krisullis community was formed, we were invited to come in to the community and to build with it, to create. So that there shows the story behind why the chrysalis is that catalyst, and that butterfly is that movement that we see in progress.
Very, very, very good story. I've heard it before. I think we actually clipped it before, so now we can clip once more. Subscribe to whatever clips challenge that we use. I need to make one. I don't know the name of it yet. You're more than welcome to come off a request, Linda, or the audience for that matter. But yeah, it is like if you don't like get challenged in life, you don't get stronger. You don't build that muscle. You don't build that resilience. I think is the right word. And you need to. The bigger the challenge, the farther you can go. Like the more value you add to equals the more value you add to the world equals to how much money you make in most cases. Those kind of things are intertwined, that if you're not willing to go through with a challenge, you're not most likely not going to go very far. But everybody needs to go through a little bit, at least some challenges. Otherwise life wouldn't be fun, at least not for me. Like the challenges is what makes it fun. When we're like, oh, I can do that. I do know how to do that. And all those kind of different things. And I think that's what's nice about Krisullis. It's kind of an adaptive challenge. It's always something new that's challenging. For you, it's the crypto and transferring it around. For me, it's probably going to be finding a guest for season 2 very soon, and a bit of a challenge. Even though I haven't started yet, but it's still a challenge going out doing it. There's always some way of getting challenged, evolving. I think it's very important with being challenged that you remember to reflect as well. I'd say that's nearly as important, actually. Reflecting on the challenges and what you learned and what you did well and what you maybe could have done a little bit better.
I agree with that. The reflection back is I believe the most important piece, because that will determine where it is you go next. What are your next steps? And by reflecting back, you're going to have more clarity on what that can be.
And not to switch the subject completely, but this is a question that I've asked to anybody. So for everybody that's been on so far, English is gone. It becomes later and later in my English level. This at a certain point. But the question is, where do you see Krisullis in 3 years' time?
That's a really difficult question to ask, because the people that are in Krisullis, we're the people that are going to determine where we are in 3 years. And so if we can...
So yeah, what would you like to see? I don't know, it's not only you that's on the team, but this gives a bunch of great ideas that we can use in the future.
Yeah. So when I think about the ideal community of Krisullis, I see it as many creators that are sharing their content in all these different areas: music, literature, art, education, coaching, other service industries. I want to see a diversity, and I want to see the diversity also be in all the different people worldwide. So in 3 years' time, I want to see worldwide participation in a multitude of areas. And honestly, I also see the other thing that needs to be present, because you can have all the creators creating things, but you got to have the people coming in that want to experience the creations. And so again, on the flip side, I want to see people from all over the world, all different ages and walks of life, be able to come in and take part in the exchange of having an experience. And then going from there, what I would hope is that would inspire them to go within and think about, okay, I've come in and had all these experiences. Is there something out that I want to put out there, that I want to be a creator? And so, they always talk about leaders making more leaders. Well, I see it as creators creating more creators.
I think that's very true. When most creators, when you hear nowadays, they've been inspired by some YouTubers, some podcast, or somebody else that's doing the exact same thing as them because they see that it's possible. I think that it's so difficult for me to have talked to Caroline yesterday because that's gonna come out later in this episode. So I'm like, I don't want to spoil anything because that would be rude, very rude. But it's really like I think this Web3 thing is gonna give the creators more freedom because it is decentralized. So it's not the marketing companies that says what's right, what's wrong, who do we want to pay, who don't we want to pay. No, it's actually the community that decides on what kind of content they want to consume, they want to be created.
That's exactly. I mean, have that freedom to have the communities share what it is they want, and then the creators to come in and create what they want. That's the perfect way to have things happen. And you're right. We don't want to have the centralization. Businesses have done the models of centralization for a while, and that's good for operations. But for creative things, I much prefer to have it decentralized and let the communities choose and have that freedom to voice what they want.
So how are you going to contribute in help creating more creators?
Oh, of course, that's the hour or the question of the hour. And so how I'm going to do
kind
that.
Of threw it up to me. I just caught it.
That's true. So just really going back to what I mentioned before about speaking for what you want and communicating it. That's how I'm personally going to come to the space, because that's who I am and who I embody. I empower people to use their voice. And when they use their voice, all these other things start to happen. And so that's what I want the creators to do. Because if you think about it, a creator is somebody that is empowered to use their voice, and they're empowered to bring their craft to share it with everyone. And so that's what I'm going to do is as our team, we're going to create the experience when they come into our community. They're going to feel like they've come to the right place for the right reasons. And so they're going to feel inspired and empowered to remain here, because I know for a fact, the moment that you offer a sense of belonging in a community and freedom and choices, the moment somebody doesn't really feel that that's what we're doing by the experience they have, then they're not going to stay. So this is a really pivotal role, is to invite people in and have them feel like they're meant to be here and that they want to stay. And so that's a huge uplifting job. And honestly, it's going to take more than just our team. It's going to take the whole community to make this work. And so the people coming in to experience, they also have to show respect. They have to honor somebody, the opportunity to speak. They have to be kind. All of those things. Those are all the things that we embody. And you talk about people deciding in a decentralized way what it is that they want to do. Well, the same thing happens for building a culture. The culture is only going to be as good as how we come in and we hold other people's accountable. So that's another thing. If we as community members seeing somebody not following and embodying those things like respect, integrity, allowing other people to have a voice, well, then we're going to be having that conversation. Hey, it looks like you are not being respectful and showing respect to this person. That's not all right. In our community, this is what respect looks like. You're willing to stay in our community. Are you willing to extend respect and courtesy? If you are, great. We'd love to have you. If that's not for you right now, then you might want to seek other communities that will be more of where you want to hang out. And those are hard conversations to have, because we don't want to be exclusive. But at the same time, we can't have people come in that don't embody respect, integrity, and allowing people to speak. And so we say that from day one. And so that's the other thing that we're responsible for, each one of us.
Yeah. I just have them on here, have a nice chat. They can say whatever the fuck they want. As long as they're nice to me, then we're all good. I see nothing wrong. I don't see anything else. Aside, one thing that I forgot to ask you earlier, and I think you have touched a little bit upon it, but I like you to be a little bit more specific. What the fuck is happening to my English? What motivated you to join Krisullis?
So honestly, what motivated me was the whole, I guess, opportunity to make an impact. And not just to make an impact on one person, but to make an impact that's life-changing on all the people that come in. And so that sounds really big. And that sounds like, well, how can one person impact, millions of people? Well, we talked about it. One person that can powerfully impact another person, that impacts another person, it will spread. And that's what I get excited about. That I'm very much a life learner. I believe that as we learn a craft or have a talent for something, the moment we choose to teach it to other people, then we actually get even better at that. And so we're helping other people or giving people an opportunity to learn and grow with us. I mean, that's, to me, what's more exciting than that?
No, I find it very exciting as well, seeing another person grow, seeing them overcome the challenges. Now that I've talked about challenges before, I'd love to link the earlier part of the podcast together. And we're saying linking the earlier part together with the ending. Is there anything you want to say before we end this episode up here?
Actually, I do. And you know that I always have
I thought so. Yeah, exactly. I knew you was going to have something to say, but I thought it would be polite anyway.
So if you're watching this video to the end, I just really want to extend the invitation that we want you here as creators. We want you to have a wonderful experience. And if there's anything that we can do, please communicate it, because chances are we can connect with someone.
Where can they communicate it, Linda? Always good to have clarification.
Yes, it's always good to have clarification. That's number one. Yes.
Well, to answer the question, Linda apparently refuses to answer that I asked.
Hey.
Well, I was just about to say Discord or Telegram.
So ask me the question again then. Let's bring it back.
I just said, is there any, where can they or ask those questions or connect with us?
Oh, yes, you're very right. Details are important. And so to get specific, yes, we have a channel on Telegram where when you join our community, that's where all of the information that will start your journey will begin. And yes, if I don't share that, you won't know how to find us. And so again, you can see that we rely on each other to help us when we may not get as clear and specific as we need to in our communication. And thank you so much for that. I appreciate having you in this role, because again, it's a heavy lift to do everything, and we can't do near all the things that we would like to do without leaning on each other.
Wouldn't want to neither. Sounds like some of the things you guys do, and I'm like sitting here, nah, I'd rather not. So I'm appreciative of everybody else doing that kind of stuff that I would rather not. Think that goes for everybody, is appreciative of everybody doing the things that they're doing that they are particularly not very skilled at or enjoy doing in some sort of way. Well, with that being said, make sure to check up on the DAO, check out Krisullis to stay up to date on when these podcasts comes out. I think that was about everything. Talk soon.
Let's call it a wrap.
Normally I do that, but yeah, I guess I can do that just for nice.
So as you probably could hear, Linda decided to call the wrap without me doing the plugs at the end. So make sure to wherever you're listening to subscribe, follow. If it's YouTube, give us a comment and a like as well. We would love to hear from you, what you think, all that kind of good stuff. Talk soon and see you in the next episode.